Okay. Well, we got back in the building yesterday and took a deep dive on things and really talked a lot about just the halfway point. Let's face it, 6 games in, 3-3, and coming off a loss that was not good enough, obviously, and then it went on the leadership of this team, discussion of what we want this thing to look like moving forward. Any potential issues we might have, and it was great. A lot of accountability amongst the team, responsibility, coaches included. I thought it was a really healthy day in regards to taking a deep look at where some called lack of execution at times, and some of the guys trying to do too much, wanting to make a play for the team type thing and get outside the responsibility, and we got exposed multiple times and through that. So guys kind of owning up, talking about it, tweaked a little bit how we looked at the video, and offensively they watched it all as a unit, not just breaking down into your individual positions. I thought that was healthy in regards to like guys taking accountability. I could do this better, so an O-lineman seeing a route run and vice versa. And then they went back to work, a little bit shorter, but went back on the field and addressed them, and tried to make some corrections that way. Because we got to play better, and you think about us as coaches, myself to start, is we got to get this team playing to their potential, and that was well short on Saturday. And so we look at reasons why that takes place, and then think about considerations of changes schematically, how you approach it, practice, personnel, the whole thing. So I thought it was a really good Sunday, and we got to be able to transition because we know what we're headed toward. Maybe the best team, one of the best teams in the country, playing really, really good football at their place. That'll be a serious challenge that we got to get ourselves prepared for, and it's an opportunity to start the back half of our season on the road against a really good team to continue to find ways to do it. Injury front, we had a few guys throughout the game. Not a huge amount of updates here, but both, or really all, Aiden, Mike Macinas, and Dooley, all of them, we'll kind of see by the end of the week what those guys kind of look like. Optimistic, but we'll find out at the end of the week. Nakai Martinez, Ben Roberts, Jalen Thompson. Obviously, all 3 of those guys did not go on Saturday, but I'll always tell you it's a longer-term injury, and all 3 of those guys have a potential for this weekend, but we'll see by the end of the week. Questions?
Jonathan, in the event that Aiden can't play and he's shut down for the week, are you confident that Alessio is ready for the test that Indiana is going to pose?
I think Alessio's gotten into the game and showed some good signs. We do have confidence in, one, his capabilities, his preparation, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And then I know, obviously, it was a tougher media cycle, obviously, after what happened after the last game, and I know that there were calls for buyouts and things like that, but as a coach and as a person, when you see that, I guess, how do you handle that sort of criticism as a person?
Mm-hmm. Not to take a shot at you guys at all. I don't follow a ton of it. I'll be honest. I definitely having a greater awareness that things are out there, whether talking to me particularly or things around the program. We do take some deep pride in our approach and how we're going about it. We want to be at a place, great energy, passion, compete at the highest level, and part of that, you want to do that, comes with the other side of things when it doesn't go right. So it's not a big surprise to me. I'll go back to the confidence and really steadfast and the people in that building that we've got, that we can right the ship here.
You talked after the game, and you alluded to this morning with your meetings yesterday about, we're well aware the performance wasn't there. Are you confident the passion and fire was? Is that an issue at all in your mind?
I do think that execution and energy are hand in hand. And so I do think there was, like I mentioned earlier, there was a good amount of want to and almost too much to get myself out of my responsibility. Give you an example, like you can want it as much as you want, you fly around. If you're supposed to be in the B gap and you're not in the B gap, that's not going to help our energy with another 15-yard gain. We had some of that going on. Think about kickoff return. The kicker, for them, hanging up there pretty good. Well, I want to go make a play, so I'm going to return this thing. We got the thing done at the 12-yard line. So we had some of that go that did not help it, some of the energy, because execution goes hand in hand. I will say, off of our first 2 road games in this conference, I did think there was a deep response in this team that did not show up on Saturday, and that was not good enough.
You figure out why?
Well, it leads to a little bit of execution, like I'm saying. It leads to the ability to stay within the scheme was a couple of things that stood out.
Jonathan, following up on that, the body language at times Saturday was troubling. People remarked about that. And Jalen Berger, after the game, said Michigan State didn't want to play anymore. As a coach, how problematic is that? What do you do about it?
I don't know if that's totally accurate in regards to not wanting to play, especially just feeding off of the conversations we had yesterday in regards to leadership standing up, guys pointing some things out. Again, body language is tough in regards when it's going really sideways, especially think about late in that game. But we got to find a way to bounce back, create some energy by some execution, and that's why we talked a lot about the back half of this season, what we got in front of us.
You talk about yesterday being a big day. What's the single biggest decision you face right now as a head coach?
I don't know, it's decisions. I think a lot of things are really, really important. And if it was just down to call it one person, if it was that simple, this one person to change this, there, it could solve everything. I don't think it's that simple or that's reality, right? It's about the left guard, it's about the quarterback, it's about our offensive staff, defensive staff, it's myself, a lot of things. I think it's really important to go back to this idea of staying together, finding ways to fix it and improve on it, and get it the program, the players to be playing at their highest potential.
Hey, Jonathan, as adults, we all have some type of pressure to perform in our jobs, but can you talk about when there's such a public expectation for you, for the guys? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think about call it public and all of that. That's why I do found some deep belief in within the building, right? Those so that you surround yourself with, and that's not just particular to me. I think about our own players are dealing with it, of being in a public sport, what they chose to do, and there's some beauty that comes with that, and there's some hard times that come with that. And then so when you come across some adversity, leaning into those that you're closest to and those things, and that's why I like our building and the people that are in the building.
Jonathan, how much different is this landscape right now as far as the pressure? You've talked about the to win now. I mean, you go back to when you got your first shot at Oregon State, it was what, year 4 before winning record? I mean, it feels like the clock has just sped up rapidly. Do you feel that change since you got into coaching, and especially as a head coach?
I do think that's some reality. There is some more immediate gratification that needs to take place. You think about the investments getting made in this environment. I'm speaking to broadly college athletics. I think there's some realities to, pushing and wanting things sooner than later.
Coach in the middle, after 3 straight losses, what changes are you going to use to make to turn the season around?
Oh, I think it changes. You're always looking at it schematically, right? Best positions and things and tendencies you put out on tape. So on the schematic side, I think we're adjusting, adapting each week, trying to, emphasize our strengths, minimize, not exposing weaknesses, those type of things. And it's easier said than done when, they got good coaches on the other side and good schemes and good players and all of that. And I go back to finding ways where these guys play to their potential. When they're going to play their potential is when they're playing with certainty. So removing some uncertainty, whether that's over schematics, things like that, simpling down some things, all the special teams, offense and defense.
Jonathan, you mentioned about the meetings on Sunday, but when you guys watched back the film, particularly the points after the 4th down stop into the 4th quarter, where Berger had said he felt like you guys had quit, what did you see on that tape from your guys? Not necessarily just schematics, but kind of what Jack said. How did they look the way they played in that period of the game?
Again, we watch every snap of the, call it coach's copy, right? So we got a wide copy goes to the tight. That looks very similar to a football game where guys were trying to do too much or not doing their responsibility. I think I mentioned it Saturday night. Some one-on-ones were lost. That really was outweighed, whether we're talking one-on-one in coverage, one-on-one on a 3 technique, that repeated. And then especially on run defense, did not fit some of the pull scheme very well, and that turned into large creases. And so those things, the lack of call it execution, being in the spot, winning the one-on-one, that showed up on the tape.
And Jonathan, there were 2 notable changes, I guess, in the coaching carousel. One of your future opponents, Penn State, moved on from James Franklin, and obviously Oregon State moved on from Trent Bray, someone you obviously worked with over there, what was your reaction to both of those pieces of news?
Similar, this landscape, where it's at, a deep respect for both those two guys and things, but this landscape and each, situations are different, but I know I got deep respect for both those guys.
Yeah, Jonathan, have you gone back through like what's with Aiden a couple weeks ago? He looked like he was really ascending, and that has not looked the case. Have you been able to figure out and sort of gone through with him what's happened? How much of it is the offensive line protection, the loss of confidence, sort of where he is today? And obviously he's banged up, but where he is today in terms of his confidence and from where he was several weeks ago, and how that's transpired.
Yeah, I think there's been a shot to his confidence, and you mentioned a little bit not this offensive line. I think about the 10 other guys playing at a high level. I think about it schematically too. Let's face it, the opponents and the environments, we have not stepped up to that. So yeah, whether it's confidence, but the last 2 weeks have looked different than call it the first, I don't know, three, 4 games. And our job to kind of get them back to that place. Again, I go back to like this idea of simplifying, again, schematically, offense and defense. Can we find ways to keep it simple so his talent can take over?
Follow up on an earlier question. I know you don't live on the internet and on social media, but there's been a lot of talk, as you can imagine, about your future, about the buyout. My question to you is it disappointing to you, less than 2 years in and 18 games into your tenure, that even exists?
I want to call it disappointment. I do feel like I live in some realities of things. And so when you go, with a couple of tough losses, whatnot, and you come in at homecoming, and you get beat like that, I think it comes with the territory, and that's what we've signed up for. Again, confident, steadfast in our approach, in the people in the building. And that's not like, oh, hey, I'm just this stubborn, we're going to dig our heels in, we're not going to tweak anything. We can strong but fluid, and thinking about adjustments and finding different ways to keep these guys getting to their potential.
We talk about the sort of hard times, I guess, of a 3-game losing streak and how things feel right now. What is the sort of pitch for what things look like in the future, the quote-unquote good times that you would see in the future? What is that pitch?
Well, it starts with the pitch we're headed toward the back half of our season. Again, we're talking about 6 games in. We've got guaranteed 6 left. Halftime adjustments. We want to be a team that plays our best in the fourth quarter, but the best at the end of the year. And so we still got a lot in front of us. Are we disappointed? We got to clean some things up, 100%. We got to get better. All of that is there, but we still got a lot of football left.
Jonathan, for alumni who come back once a year for homecoming, or maybe someone who's considering giving money to the school and getting involved with the program, what would you tell them after Saturday to make them think that they should be all in?
Well, I think you tell them that Saturday's not good enough, and we're very aware of it from a program side, that there are things to fix. And then again, we're going to continue to work to get it better. I think being proud of the place and the atmosphere, and we are working to get this thing to a better spot. That's where our mindset is.
Hey, Jonathan, I'm wondering, you guys saw Indiana last year, obviously, where they turned out to be a playoff team. What do you see the differences in the program in year 1 to year 2 for them? And specifically at quarterback, too, what do you think about Mendoza? And you've seen some good ones. Where does he sort of fit into that? Yeah,
he's playing at a really high level, quick release, good decision maker, willing to run the ball. I think on offense, and they've got both schemes of it. They can run it, they can throw it, physical up front, good receiver play, and that helps Mendoza, and he's a competitive kid. They flip it on the other side. These guys are good on defense now. It starts up front, physical, linebackers can tackle, they play within the scheme. So they're on challenge on both sides. I think schematically they got some similarities. I think they got some similarities in their attributes of how physical they are, and then their quarterback play with some balance on offense is similar to last year.
Yeah, Jonathan, you mentioned that there were situations in which players on defense were trying to do too much and got out of their gap and so forth. When the players looked at themselves and you went over tape, were there also situations in which players looked at themselves and maybe didn't see enough effort Did that come up at all where they were self-critiquing, where guys could have done a little more?
There ain't much of that. In regards to like, oh, he should have been running to the ball. We didn't have the guys just shutting it down, anything like that. We had some guys that just cut guys loose. Hey, we're playing man coverage and not covering our man. And we had some of that got called out pretty good. And then, some of the basic stuff of trying to do too much. My eyes, they've thrown it to this guy a couple of times and we don't, continue to our responsibility of covering the back out of the backfield. Some of that got called out.
You mentioned about the meetings on Sunday. I'm wondering about the emotion aspect of it. Like, were guys hurt, angry? What was their emotional response, both in the immediate aftermath of the game and then when they got there yesterday to spin it forward to how they want to approach emotionally the final 6 games?
Yeah, they've invested a lot into this thing, and so call it hurt, angry, but at the same time, we're about people around there, and so the approach again goes into like we got to foster, if that's the right word to use, take that energy of disappointment, anger, frustration, get it communicated, but then we're going to move forward. And how are we going to do that? We're going back to this back half of the season.
20 minutes in and nobody's asked you about this week's game yet. What about Indiana? What they've done, and what do you make of what they've done with their program in a short time?
Yeah, it's been impressive. Looking just at this season in regards to how competitive, 2 back-to-back road wins for them at tough places, complete in regards to offense can beat you, defense can beat you. They're challenging even on punt. You look at their pressure and punts, and so they've done a really nice job. And they're one of the best teams in the country. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, guys.